we have no idea what is going to happen. The Bears have 26 new players, many of them who are key new players, starters and whatnot. So then I got to thinking, like, well, what do we actually know if I'm leaning on to Meatball Island? Like, what do we know and what can we be confident in?
Yep.
And I'm starting, and we're asking this question to the chat, like, what do you feel like you know going into the season? What can you actually say with confidence that you feel like you know? And for me, it actually starts with Justin Fields in my ticket to Meatball Island. Like, we absolutely know that if everything breaks down and nothing good is happening offensively, Justin Fields is going to make something out of nothing.
Yep.
You know that he can do it. We saw it over and over and over again for 1,143 yards, the second most rushing yards by a quarterback in the history of the game of football. I still don't think people let that go in. We know that he's breaking off 50-plus yard runs over and over and over again, that he did it against the Packers for 55-plus. So I think when you start with the things that you know this year, you know that you, at bare minimum from Fields, you are going to get that if nothing else is going on.
Correct.
He is an unstoppable force when it comes to rushing the football.
Correct. He's going to move the chains. Now, how many times can you bank on a 70-yard unbelievable run? They're going to happen this year. The amount they happen in a 6-week span felt very unique and maybe rare and maybe something we won't see again. But just to move the chains, and that's what I try to tell people when you just add up the numbers as far as his rushing yards being accumulated throughout the year. If he stays healthy, if he plays 14 or 15 games minimum, or, best case scenario, the whole season, he's going to easily run for 1,000 yards because they were the best team on first drives all season long. Why? Because they're still getting their feet wet. Defense is still trying to settle in, and Justin Fields is running for 20 to 40 yards on every opening drive, getting you into at least field goal range.
There you go. And, there's a lot of conversation going on around now. Well, our team's going to try to keep Fields in the pocket, make him a passer. Maybe they will.
Right.
That's entirely possible.
So if you want to go back and forth with the what we know and what we don't know, sticking to this subject with Fields, then what we don't know is, yes, we know he can move the chains in between the 20s, but when you get into the red zone, how many touchdowns are they going to score as opposed to field goals? That's what we don't know. What we don't know is how big of a step he's going to take in the pass game. He's going to take a step. He's got too many good skill position players with DJ Moore. But the question is, how big of a step? Those are the things we don't know.
So, right. But that also in my Meatball Island thing, what we do know is that he is not going to get worse.
Correct.
He will get better. So,
to what degree is the question?
Correct, but we are on an uptick. We are going forward. We know, and my second we know, which is a huge we know that he is now playing with the best receiver by a mile that he has ever played with, who has been remarkably consistent, playing with bad quarterbacks, different quarterbacks.
5th most receiving yards for any wide receiver in NFL history under the age of 26. And the other 4 are Randy Moss, Larry Fitzgerald, DeAndre Hopkins, Hall of Fame type players.
Which is why he had to be in the deal. So we absolutely know that Fields, who we know is going to run the ball well if things break down, we know that he also has his most comfortable target, which he basically said from day one, and we've seen it over and over again, from the little dump-off that went for a touchdown in the preseason to all of training camp to anybody who went out to practice. You saw the connection between the two. We know these things.
Yep.
That is not going to be a surprise when Justin Fields breaks free for 30-plus yards in the middle of the second quarter, the first quarter, whenever it happens against the Packers on Sunday. It's not going to be like, oh, I've never seen that before. It's there. So
I think, and then before we move off of Fields, the one thing that I'm going to roll the dice and feel like I do know based off of only camp in
Are
preseason.
we on? Okay.
This is where we're moving to the believe.
Okay.
Because sometimes you got to trust your eyes. And one of the things I've always said when I went to camp is you know it when you see it. You knew the day Devin Hester walked out on that field, you were like, okay, he has it. The first time I ever saw Tariq Cohen get the ball in his hands at camp, I was like, okay, he's different. Brandon Marshall. Okay, I've never seen that before. With Justin Fields, when I do the you know it when you see it, at camp this year, the thing that I feel like I know I saw was the short passing game improvement. Now, I can't prove it because they haven't shown it on tape in the regular season yet. We got to wait to see if that's going to come to fruition week 1. But I feel confident in saying that the third down slant, got to have it to DJ Moore or Chase Claypool, they have shown improvement there. The screen game, we saw it at camp, but we specifically saw it in the preseason. On TV, we all saw it. The screen game is improved. The Bears have always sucked in the screen game my whole life. So it stood out to me that they are executing the screen game well. Blockers getting ahead. Everything looks organized. The timing of it looks right. So I am going to go out on a limb on the things that we know that we are basing off of last year. I'm going to add this to what I do know, even though it hasn't been shown on a game tape yet.